run away.
Everybody, your boy Manny here once again with another lineup advice video for you here at DFS Zone. And before I get started, like always guys, I appreciate you guys drop a like on the video, and if you have not as of yet subscribed to the channel, please do so down below. And do not forget, most importantly, do not forget to put on your post notifications on, so this way you do not miss any of my new uploads or live shows. With that being said, today is August the 9th, 2018. And we have ourselves a nice 2-game slate this evening in the WNBA. And before I go over the actual slate, I just wanted to recap. Obviously, we will have a live show. Okay, news. We will have a live show. And for those of you who have not, as of yet, become a member of our group, Facebook group, please come on down to Facebook. Search DFS Zone and request for membership, and I will definitely accept you with no problem. It's just another way for us to be able to just interact with one another, discuss sports throughout the whole year. Wanted to recap yesterday. I want to try to do a segment every day of at least recapping some of the plays I give you to see how well I've done as far as giving advice, and at the same time, seeing if what I've been doing for my own self is actually paying off as far as helping others. So I mean, I gave you yesterday guard plays. I told you that I was definitely in favor. I really wanted Jasmine Thomas. I really liked her. She put up a nice game, 36.7 fantasy points. I did prefer her over Courtney Williams, but I did tell you that I had no problem with anybody selecting Courtney Williams. Courtney Williams also had a fairly good game at 34.5 fantasy points. Then I told you that I was definitely thought that Chelsea Gray could be a possibly good play. She put up 30, not a huge number, but around her average, which is pretty good. In the lower spectrum, I did say Strickling is a possible play. I did say that maybe Kia Nurse would be a good play, simply because I felt that she's a #1 pick and New York had nothing to play for. New York has been balancing it out with players. I mean, had some surprise plays. Stokes played very well. Rogers as well as Rebecca Allen. But Kia Nurse put up 23.8 fantasy points. Strickland put up 20.4 for Connecticut. And then the surprise plays to me, I mean, New York with Rogers 16.6, Stokes with 20.2, and Rebecca Allen with 19.3 were surprises. There were a lot of people that did play Stokes, which was good. I didn't. I played Amanda. Amanda Zui B did play well, 28.3 fantasy points. I did recommend her. I did recommend that the top 2 dogs would be Cam Bates and Parker, and I did also tell you guys that I think both of them were going to be highly owned, and they were. 64% pretty much, almost 65% for Cam Bates and almost 64% for Candace Parker. They both played fairly well. I was more on Parker. I did have Cam Bates in one of my lineups. 46.8 for Liz and 43.6 for Candace. I did tell you that I like Alyssa Thomas more so than Shanae Agumake, and Alyssa Thomas came up with 42 fantasy points. I did have her. I've been just missing out, not putting them in the right lineups, at least as far as for me is concerned, but at least I am viewing them and really analyzing them to the point that I think I'm pretty good so far as giving you guys the best possible advice. I did say with the front girl, I was a little hesitant about the Dallas girls, but I did tell you if I wasn't going to be on Cam Bates, I definitely wanted to be on Thornton or Stevens. Stevens had the better game, 32.8 fantasy points, which is not too bad. Ogumake had 27. I did tell you guys I was definitely favoring Alyssa Thomas more in the matchup. Tina Charles, I told you guys she would probably be low owned. She was only 10.4% owned, and she put up a nice game. I did tell you guys that Tina Charles could be someone that's going to be very low owned because of the blowout situation. If she can play hard and New York can stay close, she'll put some nice numbers, and she did exactly that. New York did have a heck of a game hanging in there, and I did say that to you guys also on the live stream too, that watch out for New York. These teams like New York, especially Indiana and Chicago, have a tendency of stepping up against really good opponents and really giving them some tough games, and that's exactly what happened again last night. And pretty much that was it, man. That was pretty much it. Those were the key ones that I think I mentioned, and they all did fairly well. All right, so let's get to these games real quickly, man. We got LA at Atlanta. I got implied totals of 154 total, with LA favored on the road by 1.5. LA comes in 18-11. They are the 3rd seed. They are 4-1 in their last 5 games, so they are playing really good, fantastic basketball right now. And in the course of those 5 games, they have played 3 games on the road, and they won all 3 of those games. They are 3-0 on the road. Atlanta comes in, they're second seed, they're 19-10, they're only one game ahead of LA. This is an incredibly great matchup today. All right, these two teams have been pretty much the best and the hottest two teams over the course of the last, I would say, week and a half, 2 weeks. They've been playing the best, especially Atlanta. So 19-10 in their last 5 games, they are 4-1, and in the course of those games, they are 3-1 at home. So Atlanta has been really playing well as well. I just want you guys to know that they did play each other 2 times already, 1 game apiece or win apiece. But the last win Atlanta had when they beat LA, they beat LA without Nneka Ogwumike. So let's just take that into account, that Nneka Ogwumike is in the lineup today, and she will make a difference. I still think both teams are going to be fairly close up front. All right, I'm going to just the team stats, I'll share that with you guys later on the screen. I didn't work on those. I was pretty busy last night. I didn't work on those for you guys this morning, but I wanted to basically go over it. But I did have already the last 4 games statistics. LA coming in over the course of the last 4 games, they've given up 52 points per game to the opposition in the forward center spot, and their average is 47.8, pretty much 48. They have actually been giving up 4 more points up front to the forwards and centers over the course of the last 4 games. So that might be an area to attack, and I think is probably one of the better areas for Atlanta, even though I do believe Atlanta has a shot to attack with their guard play that they have. I think they have the right nucleus there to give LA a rough time in the backcourt as well too. So this is going to be interesting. Of course, like everything, guys, I'm always going to look over the girls, and I'm going to have to just to give you a first look of everything. Everybody's in play here. Obviously, it's a 2-game slate, so we got a lot of good possible plays. But I'm going to narrow it down like I've been doing as of late, and then on the live show, I'm going to basically give you what I think from what I've been able to look over as far as statistics, to give you the best possible opportunities out there for you guys to help you out for that 1 or 2 players that you may not be so sure of whom you're going to play. All right. So again, getting back to the team stats over the last 4 games, LA has been giving up 21.2 points per game to guards, which is the least over the last several games from among all the teams. So they've really been very stingy with guards over the last 4 games. They're going to meet a nice group of guards here today. So we'll see how well they do today. But 21.2 is fantastic from an average of 26.9. That is actually an improvement of 5 points that they're giving up less to opponents. Atlanta's coming in giving up 46.4 points per game to forwards and centers, the best in over the last 4 or 5 games for any team. And their average is 49. Well, not the best of it, because Minnesota has done just as good, but 46.4, and their average is 49.5. They have an improvement there by 3 over the course of the last 4 games. And then their guard play, they've been giving up only 31.2 points per game over the course of the last 4 games to guards, and their average is 31. So they basically have been giving up what they average on a regular game-by-game basis. So Atlanta has been pretty good there. All right, we go to the guard play here in the matchup. LA and Atlanta. Chelsea Gray stands out first, and then you got Tiffany Hayes. Both girls are in play. There's no doubt about it. Like I said, man, anything is possible here today. By later on today, I'll probably be able to tell you more or less who's the better play. I think going into this matchup, obviously both team girls have been playing fairly good. They're pretty much similar in style, but Tiffany Hayes, to me, stands out here as being a little more athletic, a little longer. She has been playing a little more aggressive as of late, especially offensively. She doesn't puts up huge numbers. I think the upside is with Chelsea Gray, but at 39, you need 39 for 7,900, and she's averaging 30. She has hit 5 out of her last 7 games at 30 plus and can get you 40. I think Chelsea Gray has a little bit more of the upside of as far as fantasy points. But Tiffany Hayes, this matchup today, to me, is a pick'em. I think you can go with either one of these 2 girls if you wanted to. Remember, also, this is a perfect game to stack, as well as the Minnesota-Las Vegas game, but we'll get to that when we get to Minnesota-Las Vegas. I think this is a good game to stack here. You could definitely get 5 plays out of here, maybe even 6. Brittany Sykes. So both Tiffany Hayes and Gray are both in play, guys. Brittany Sykes, she's at 6,000. You need about 30. And what I like about the matchup between Atlanta and as I was saying before, I think Atlanta can give these guys a difficult time simply because of all the different types of guards they have. Like Brittany Sykes plays the 3, but sometimes she plays guard in some of the rotations. Montgomery plays mostly guard, and then Bentley has been playing some 3 and as well as guard, and she's been on fire too. So out of these 3 here, I would definitely favor Bentley. I did favor her in the last game. I thought she was going to be a fine play for the matchup. I think she's a fine play here as well against LA. It's a lot for LA to cover, to think that you got to deal with Tiffany Hayes and possibly Sykes and Montgomery, as well as Bentley in this whole rotation of guards and number three forwards. So it's a tough spot for them, man. So one of these girls, something's got to give. One of these three girls is going to have a great game. I'm leaning towards Bentley, but Sykes at 30, you need about 30 from her. She's averaging 20, pretty much 20. And let's see, averaging 20. And against LA, she put up 18 and 18 minutes, not too bad in game one. In the last game, excuse me. In game one, she didn't play at all. So, I mean, she may be a surprise play. I think she's very high in price, but then again, anything could go here today. Montgomery is priced $600 cheaper. I really am not feeling Montgomery today, but again, that's just my gut feeling right now. I may change my mind later on. Alex Bentley, I definitely like here. I think she's definitely someone to consider. Bentley's at 5,000. You need 25. She had that nice game, last game out. She's starting to really get involved in this offense now. Now she's starting to really click with this team, and I think that's obviously that was one of the main reasons. I did say that when they got when they made the trade, that Atlanta made a nice trade for Alex Bentley, and this is the reasons why. To play teams like LA and to play in the playoffs, she's going to come up big here. So again, I'm not going to discuss much about it, but I think she's definitely a fine play today. We get down here to the bottom half of this as far as guards. Odyssey Sims, I'm not on an Odyssey. Elena Beard has been playing a little bit more minutes, and of course she brings a lot of things to the table. She did play fairly well last night too. Her fantasy point total tallied up a little bit better last night. 23 minutes, 6, 4, and 2, and 1. Like I said, these are the areas that she's good at: rebounding, assisting, getting blocks and steals, more so of steals. She got one steal last night, and she ain't gonna light you up offensively as far as shots are concerned. But that's quite all right. I always look to see if she's doing these things over here. And, of course, the energy she brings to the table. So she'll be ready to go tonight. She could be a possibly good play there. Miss Williams as well at 3,400 is someone definitely to consider. She's getting a few minutes as well. We go to the forwards. Candace Parker, definitely in play. Miss Parker, 8,400, and Nneka Ogwumike are both in play. Remember, in the last game against Atlanta, Miss Ogwumike did not play. She had that illness. So, and they won that game, Atlanta, by 10. It should be a lot better contest today. Candace, but they both on a back-to-back. They, remember LA did play yesterday, so they're playing again today. I don't see that being a factor. It is a big matchup for them to go from one game and then play the very next day and play against the number 2 seed obviously for the second position right now. So this is a big game for LA and obviously a big game for Atlanta. So Parker and Ogwumike are in play. I may be fading Parker today as much as I love Candace on a back-to-back, and then you have to play Atlanta. She didn't have awesome, big games against Atlanta. As you can see, she had a 37 spot in 31 minutes, which is obviously a good game, more than 1 fantasy point per minute. But I don't see her getting over 40 or 41 today. I think she's going to be at 40 or below 40. And I think there's obviously, for me, there's a couple other plays, especially in the Minnesota-Las Vegas game, where I think the opportunity is going to be greater or better for us as far as picking up a stud forward. So, I mean, she is in play, guys. She is a fantastic play. She has 50-point upside. She plays massive minutes. She's an integral part of the offense. Without her, they cannot win. But it is a tough matchup. As you know, I love Parker and Ogwumike, but I also love McCoughtry, Breland, and Williams. I've been saying it all year long since the beginning of the year that this is a formidable, very, very tough front court, and they're starting to come along really, really well. They're really gelling. Hopefully McCoughtry is not too banged up from the little twist of ankle or knee that she had the other day. But Parker and Ogwumike, again, they're in play, guys. I will let you know more later on where I stand. I still think that both of them are in a tough matchup. Nneka Ogwumike comes in here. She didn't play the last game, but the first game she played, I think she had a solid 25 to 30, and that's pretty much her range. Atlanta. She put 25. Yes, 25 in 32 minutes, 11, 10, and 1. Not a bad stat sheet. Had 10 rebounds. I had 11 rebounds on 10 points. So a solid game there. But, I mean, again, I don't see her exploding for 40 or 50 in this game. I do like Atlanta's front court a little bit better, McCoughtry and Breland, and more so because of price. I mean, their price is obviously a little bit lower. McCoughtry and Breland are definitely solid. McCoughtry's coming in at 7,600. You need about 37 from her. and her average is 31, and she's been there several times. She's capable of it. She is capable of getting you 40. She's not going to light it up for 45, 50, but she is solid there. And what I like is that she defends. Like I said before, these girls up front, they're very lean, they're athletic, they have long wingspans. This is why they block so well. They're aggressive at the defensive end of the floor. If they do that against LA today, they will get some blocks, and they will wreak havoc on LA in the front court. So it's going to be very important that those guards from LA really are able to bury some shots, especially if Candace Parker and Nneka Ogwumike cannot get going up in the front court due to the fact that they have to deal with McCoughtry and these girls. But again, McCoughtry with LA here, 37, pretty much a 38 spot in 31 minutes in the last game. Obviously, no Nneka Ogwumike was an advantage for her, but the first time around was a tougher game. She didn't have a good shooting night. She didn't even take a whole lot of shots that night, but she had 12, 4, 2, and 1, only 21 fantasy points in 32 minutes. I still do like her here. That game was way, way back. They are playing much more better basketball now. Jessica Breland, same thing. Definitely like her there at 7,400. Need about 36. She's one that's capable of getting you 40 as well. She has 50-point upside. She's done it once or twice this year, but a little shaky up and down. What I find interesting is they're not playing her with a lot of minutes, but I guess it's because obviously they're getting Billings in there and involved. McGee-Stafford has been playing quite a bit as of late, so they got to get minutes in there. And it could be more likely that she has been getting in a little bit of foul trouble for being so aggressive. But last game out, 5 blocks, and as you can see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 straight games with at least 2 blocks or better. So Ms. Breland is definitely someone in play here for today's matchup against LA. And then Elizabeth Williams, same thing, 6,700. I think she's a fine player as well, so definitely consider her. Massive 4 blocks in that last game, 43 points, 43.5 fantasy points in 34 minutes. Obviously the best game of the year for her. Now we know she has 40-point potential, but I think she's more of a 23 to 26, 27 average. So expect more of those numbers today. I'm more in favor of Breland and McCoughtry today than Elizabeth Williams, but because she's going to go up against Nneka Ogwumike, who usually plays center for this team, and she is pretty athletic, So I think a little more athletic than Elizabeth Williams. Jantel Lavender, I'm not on her. She's not getting sufficient minutes, at least as of late. Monique Billings could be someone to consider here at 3,900. Could get you 20. That's at 3,900. You need 19, pretty much. And she's been averaging 8, so she's been averaging 8 here. She has the potential to get you 20 like you see here, but she definitely needs to be in that 17 to 18, 19 minute range. So we'll see how it goes here. She did have against LA a 21 spot in 17 minutes, if you see that here. 8, 6, 2, and 1, nice lines. And then the first game of the season, which was way back, she did play 11 minutes and got 9 fantasy points. So nearly 1 fantasy point pretty much in both games for Monique Billings. McGee-Stafford has been getting some action, so you can consider her. I think she's getting even more minutes. 13, 10, and 8 over the last few games, but when she's played 13 to 10, she's put up some nice numbers. This was against Minnesota's front court, and this was against Chicago's. Obviously, Minnesota a little tougher. It put up 21, so something to consider. She did play 9 minutes against LA the last time, got 6 fantasy points, and she played 17 minutes in the first game way back at the beginning of the year and got 13 points. So McGee-Stafford could be a nice little value play here. Maria Vadiva, possibly. Not getting enough minutes, but in a matchup like this, if it gets a little out of hand, or we have some foul problems for Parker or Ogwumike, you could definitely see her get some minutes here as well. So someone to consider. I think obviously at the same price, I'd rather go with McGee-Stafford or Billings, who usually gets time on the rotation. We go to Minnesota, Las Vegas. Minnesota, Las Vegas. We got Minnesota implied totals. We got 165 with Minnesota favored on the road by 3.5. Okay, these teams have already played each other also 2 times. Minnesota winning 1 game, 88 to 73 in Las Vegas, and then Las Vegas winning in Minnesota, 85 to 77. All right, Minnesota's coming in. They're 16 and 13, and in the course of the last 5 games, they finally got out of that losing streak. They're 1-4, so they got a 1-game win streak. In the course of those 5 games, they played 3 games on the road, and they're 1-2 on the road. All right, Las Vegas is coming in 12 and 17. They're 2 and 3 over the course of the last 5 games, and 1 and 1 during those 5 games at home. Team stat lines as far as the last 4 games defending opposition: Minnesota is holding down forwards and centers to 48.7 points per game. That is obvious. That is for them 8 points more than their average. So they actually have been having a little bit of a tough go over the course of the last 4 games. Their average is 40.1 points per game to forwards and centers. At guard, they are doing a little bit better. They're only surrendering 29.8 points per game to guards over the course of the last 4 games with an average of 32.8. So that's pretty much just 2 more points per game. Vegas on the other side of the ball is coughing up 50.8 points per game to forwards and centers, and that is their average, 50.8. So they've been pretty steady there. And at guard, they're surrendering 37.7 points per game from an average of 34.7. That is 3 more points per game to guards during the course of the last 4 games. All right. Hands down, Kayla McBride is in play. I think this is a great matchup for her. I think right now, looking at first look, I think she is the best play at guard today. Playing against Minnesota, 7,500. You pretty much need about 37 from her, which is a big number, but she can get you there. She's averaging nearly 31. She has not hit 31, her average, in 2 straight games, but we know she's capable of getting 40 or better. She can light it up at any point. The last time she played Minnesota, she put here a 47 spot in 36 minutes, shot 24-7, 9-1, an awesome game. And then the first time around against Minnesota, she put 22 points in 31 minutes, 18 points from the floor, 4-3. And she did have 5 big turnovers, which obviously cost us 5 fantasy points, but still nonetheless, very, very good play for Kayla McBride here. She's in a good matchup against Minnesota. Minnesota's backcourt, I can't see them shutting her down. All right. She may possibly be highly owned as well in this slate as one of the top stud guards. All right. If it's not going to be her, it's going to definitely be the Tiffany Hayes, which Tiffany Hayes normally is not. So I would say definitely it will be her as the top stud today, and then maybe Chelsea Gray as the second. Kelsey Plum, KP, Lover, Cutie Pie, 6,500. I mean, you need about 30. You know, she's capable of getting the points. Remember, guys, this girl was a #1 draft pick, and she also was one of the top leading scorers in college in her career. She can score, you know. So, I mean, she's just starting to really just blossom more and more as they go. So, KP is definitely in play in a matchup like this. She is very pricey. 6,500. You need about 32. That's not really her average. She's averaging 19, but she has hit 32 or better for this price over the last 2 games. She has done it against Connecticut and Atlanta, which are very, very good teams. So she's going up against a team today that is pretty good, is the reigning champs, but their backcourt is not that good. So if you want to fade McBride, then you definitely got to pencil in KP. All right, so Kelsey Plum is in play for me, even though she put up 15 in 27 minutes the first last game against Minnesota, and she definitely put up 29 in a solid 32 minutes in the first game against Minnesota. So she's capable of putting up the points. I'm not a Ms. Young, but more than likely she may have a decent game. Someone to consider. I definitely love these two up here more than Young. Simone Augustus, not on her. Not on Whalen. Danielle Robinson, I've been on her off and on several times over the last 5 or 6 games. I think she's definitely someone to consider at 4,300. Her price is still pretty good. She did have a massive game the last game out. She's not going to do that all the time. She's playing against Vegas. It's a tough matchup for her because McBride and Plum, they're very aggressive. They're all over the place. They definitely defend. They're not the greatest defender, but at least they make efforts. They really pick up the pace defensively against opposition. So I definitely think this is a tough matchup for her. But if you are looking for someone in that 4,000 range, she should be one that you should consider. Against Vegas, she played only 13 minutes in the last game, only put up a 4 spot, and in the previous game before that, she played 15 minutes, only got 8. So I don't expect much from her, but someone that sneakily you can actually consider. Down here in the bottom, maybe Jefferson, maybe Wright. Wright has been getting some minutes, but she's not putting up any points. It's different if she was putting up minutes and points, but she hasn't. 20, 16, 20, they've been just increasing the minutes, but she is not taking possibly a lot of shots. Obviously, she's doing all the dirty work. 3 rebounds, 2 assists. I like that. It'll be good if she just does not turn over the ball and can actually get some steals, but not enough fantasy points for me, but someone you can consider. We'll look into it a little bit further. We go into the forwards. We got Sylvia Fowles, Asia Wilson, and Maya Moore. All 3 are in play. I think Maya Moore and Asia Wilson are the best plays. Sylvia Fowles is definitely in play. Had a very nice bounce-back game. She needed that. We discussed that in the live show. I did tell you that Maya Moore was probably the better play, and she was, but Sylvia Fowles definitely played well, in her last game. She needed that. 8,600, need about 43, and she's averaging pretty much 39, and she's been close to that 39 in 3 straight games. Did crush 39 in the last game, and definitely met value there. 30 minutes, fantastic. Against Vegas, she has done fairly well. 38 and 31 minutes, definitely not the numbers we'll like to see here against Las Vegas. Okay, 38 minutes, and she only put up that, only 7 points from the floor, but she has 17 massive rebounds. But she did have an excellent game the first time around against Vegas. She put 45 in 26 minutes. Obviously, that game was the blowout, or was the game that they won. And that was a game that A'ja Wilson, who we're going to discuss here next, didn't play well and didn't even take a whole lot of shots. A'ja Wilson, 8,200, $400 cheaper. I like Miss Wilson here. She has 50-point upside, just like Sylvia Fowles, but she doesn't get into foul trouble as bad as Sylvia Fowles is. So my concern with Sylvia Fowles is that she gets fouled a lot, and if they double team her and trap her more, and she has the tendency of turning over the ball a lot too, more so than A'ja Wilson. As you can see, she does turn over the ball, but not as consistently. So I like A'ja Wilson in those aspects, that even if they double team her, she is still athletic enough to either get a shot off or dish the ball over to a teammate. Miss Wilson, she's at 8,200, pretty much need 41. That's really close to her average of 40. And she's been below 40 the last 2 games, but we know she's pretty good, man. She's good for 45 plus. She can get you 50 plus. In the game against Minnesota, the last game against Minnesota, put up 11, 15, 5, 4, and 1. Only one turnover, 50.5 big fantasy points in 33 minutes. And then the first game, she put up only 19. It was a poor shooting game. She didn't even shoot a whole lot. I think she only took 9 shots when I looked at the information. 26 minutes, 18 fantasy points. She will definitely do better than that. Was way back. I'm not going to really gauge her in that performance there. I think that she's capable of up front. Minnesota has been giving up a little bit more points up front than their average, and I think this is a good spot for Miss Wilson. Maya Moore definitely in play as well. Probably a better play than Sylvia Fowles, simply because she takes more shots. She's more of an offensive weapon, can hit from almost anywhere, and she usually plays a little bit more minutes. 31 and 31, and look at these numbers. 31 minutes, 31 floor points the other day, 6 rebounds, 2 steals, did have 3 turnovers, 41 fantasy points. She was definitely in a downward spiral, and I did say I was fading her until I see her field goal percentage get back up. She did have an excellent game the other day. I think she's capable of having a good game here again too. They're going to need her to, because Minnesota cannot afford to keep losing games or be in any tough games. They need to have her play well. The longer she plays well, Minnesota should do fairly well. There is still no Rebecca Brunson, as far as I know of, so if there's any change in that, I'll definitely let you guys know. Hamby, Swords, they're in play. I kind of like Carolyn Swords a little bit more for 4,000, save $400. She is starting to play minutes, and she's capable of getting you 20. Down here for Minnesota the other night was a bummer. I told you these 3 girls were a pick'em, and they placed Cecilia, and she had a great game, 16 fantasy plus points. And Miss Fag-Bentley and Miss Larkins played minimal less minutes and didn't put up the same numbers. So guarantee you today it's probably not going to be Zeldin-Cini that's going to score the points off the bench or from the start. It could be Fag-Bentley or Larkins. Again, we will discuss it a little bit more later in the live show, but I know that question is going to come up of who's going to start and who's going to be the one to choose today. So any one of the 3 are pick'ems again for me again today. It's just a matter of whom you pick, and hopefully that individual gets the time and actually goes off. And that's pretty much it, guys. That's where I'm at. I will be back with the live show later. Of course, everybody, please come back and join me. You guys know I have my steady community players that do come out and support my channel and my live shows, and I'm going to do everything I can, obviously, to do my due diligence and bring you the best possible information so that you can have the best possible lineups for tonight as well as any night. So with that being said, that's pretty much it, man. I'm going to go and do my due diligence, check out that Seattle game for a little bit, and basically I'll see you guys later on, man. Drop a like on the video. If you're new here, please do subscribe down below. Be a part of the DFS Zone community, and I'll see you guys later for the live stream. All right, everybody have a great day. See you later.